Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Waterhouse Vibes, the Sunday Round Table. Last week, the PMP had their conference, and we were thinking of dedicating a show to that conference. However, recent development in Jamaica sort of push us to think of something else. And Integrity Commission report. It is a report that is causing a lot of headache for some, and it is a report that open up the JLP government, or in fact the Prime Minister, for a number of challenges. For instance, the People's National Party this week issue a call for the Prime Minister to resign. That is something we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the commission report. And with me today, I have the usual so attend the People's National Party conference, and he will give us some insight as to what happened. I have Patrick with me, Maxine, the only female, and I'm not seeing Jonathan. Ladies and gentlemen, you have all witnessed the People's National Party. I'm having some I'm having some problem. There's a sound coming from. Can you check your mic or mute? Can we mute while someone else is talking? Yes. So as I was saying, there are two issues we're going to look at this week. One is the People's National Party conference, and two, the Integrity Commission report. I don't know what you guys think about these documents, the conference and the Integrity Commission report. I I was not able to read the full report, so I'll be relying on you to tell me what's happening. But before we get to that, let's start with the People's National Party conference. Ishmael, you're a member of the People's National Party. What can you tell us about the conference? Was it a successful conference? Is it that your party is now ready for the election? What's going on?
My party. Good afternoon, everybody.
No, don't get too hung up on the words.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Afternoon. Thank you for having me, and welcome everyone. Um, so first, I prefer the term the People's National Party because it is in fact the party for the people. Um, Also, if it is that we're going to zone in on the 86th annual conference, um, in my opinion, I believe it was a success because based on the trajectory of our country, we wanted to see what each party would be coming with in terms of policies and um, you know the actions that they would take following. So I think, for lack of a better term, the conference itself well attended. What coming out of the conference because of some of the attendees as well as some of the things that we heard in terms of policy again, as well as some of the undertones, I believe it was a success. You will always have some that don't share my opinion, but as it relates to our two major political parties in this country at this time, I believe that the People's National Party are well poised to regain state power based on what I saw at the 86th Annual General Conference. Yeah, man, go ahead.
Any reaction to what Ishmael just said?
I'm not sure if I follow you, Ishmael. You
Ishmael,
can do.
Say again, Patrick. You're not sure if you're following me.
Yeah,
Where exactly are you not clear?
just to reiterate what you just said, because for some reason I wasn't hearing you clearly.
Are you hearing me a little bit better now?
Yeah,
Right. So what I'm saying is, based on the sheer crowd size in terms of attendees at the annual conference, if we're judging them based on the attendance, it's safe to say that the party and their base is alive and well. It's also safe to say that based on what we saw at the annual general conference, people wanted an answer from the People's National Party's hierarchy. And it's also safe to say that based on the sequence of events that happened at the conference, it is of my opinion that the People's National Party are ready to regain state power. I'll even go further by saying, based on what the current administration is doing in relation to their actions, the people, by extension, not just the party, but the people of Jamaica, as well as the diaspora, need to see what the opposition has in store as it relates to policies, as it relates to intentions, and some of the smaller scale programs. And I can tell you that based on what was presented, the People's National Party are in fact ready. Now, a lot of people might not agree with me with that, but nevertheless, I stand firm in my opinion that the People's National Party are in fact ready to regain state power. Not because they they aren't other choices, but because I believe people are in fact smart enough to make the distinction between the government and the opposition in that regard. So yes, I believe coming out of the annual general conference, for these reasons, it was a success.
in terms of
a
the
question for you, Ishmael. Are you saying it is a success because of Vibes Cartel?
No, I can't say that. I would never say
Coming
that.
out of the conference, that was the main topic discussed. People were talking about Vibes Cartel.
People were talking about Vibes Cartel because they saw him at the conference.
Uh, yes, that was the main news coming out of the conference.
Oh,
The main news coming out of the
everybody else share
conference
that
was Vibes
sentiment.
Cartel appearance at the conference.
Hmm.
What's your take on that?
I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks before I comment
What's
on
your
that.
take on that?
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
saying
but
I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks.
But in
Okay.
response to
Well,
what you just said, Ishmael, you never said much about content. You mentioned that you think
No, I
your
did. I did.
personal.
Don't say that, Patrick. I did. I spoke
No,
about the
hold on, hold
policies
on,
I
hold
was
on.
putting.
You listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. Right? You mentioned that, in your opinion, you consider the party to be ready. And you mentioned that there were certain concerns raised by the people. You never say what the concerns were, right, in terms of the PNP and so on. And also, you never say what the response was from coming out of the conference that lead you to whatever opinion you have. That's what I mean when I say content. What was the main highlights at the conference? What was discussed? What was the spirit of the people about? What issues the spirit of the people was rallied around?
Anybody else has anything to say in relation to that, so I can answer um, holistically. Unmute, Auntie
Yes,
Maxine.
yes. I have a question about the incorporation of the young people, because I noticed that, I mean, I'm here in New York, we're also going through a general election campaign, and it has the same kind of features where you have two parties that have their traditional bases, energized, and the election is looking at the swing voters or the undecided voters. So, to the extent that the conference brought together the base of the PNP party that was somewhat splintered internally over a couple cycles now, and that is what I understood to be happening. But I'm not yet um, clear on undecided, or the swing voters, as we call them here in America. If there's an analysis of them being swayed by the policies that were put forward by the Mark Golding and or the representatives. And again, the young people, I thought that the last election, or what the JLP seems to have put forward, is energize young interest. So I'm asking those parameters, how you feel those went over, how that quote unquote swing vote, undecided, and youth population is being addressed.
Okay, thank you. Sir John, Sir Herb, any comments?
First of all, I apologize to the panel and to the other guests, because it seemed like I had a little technical thing. I had to reconnect to the stream. When I came on, your words were, the party is ready to resume state power. I thought that was a very excellent definition of what the PNP is currently about. It's a party ready to resume state power. The question that I have, as you can anticipate me, having been hearing me, is, for whom is the party resuming state power? Is it for the well-to-do, just like in America? Trump party and the Kamala party are ready to resume state power. There's no question about that. The question is are you swapping black dog for monkey, as we say in Jamaica, Is there a different benefit? Are working people going to have a significantly different benefit? Significantly different. This party did not even mention the name Norman Manley, and it was the occasion of Manley's 100th birthday. At least that's what I read in the Gleaner. Someone wrote that this was the anniversary of not Norman Manley, I'm sorry, Michael Manley. This was Michael Manley's 100th birthday.
Michael Manley.
Yeah, Michael Manley. I'm sorry if I said Norman. And that name was not mentioned at all from the podium. So my question to you, Ishmael, how will the youths, how will the working people, the middle class, the lower middle class in Jamaica's context benefit if the People's National Party is going to be returned to power? Because there will be returned to power. I'm sure about that, whereas I can't be sure about the Democratic Party here in the United States. But either way, how will ordinary people benefit? That's the question that is concerning to me. And if you want to know the science, I can give you some of the science in the United States. I don't really know enough about the science in Jamaica, but from the look of the annual conference, I see no sign that ordinary people will be any better off.
Oh yeah? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that analysis in relation to how you view what's happening now. I appreciate all opinions. Sir Herb, it's now your turn.
Yes, greetings to the panel, to you, Ishmael. Good question. Mike, the host, and your audience today. Listen, the PNP is doing the spinning the bottle game, right? Bringing in different people on stage that may or may not have some nefarious backgrounds. Are they going after the middle class, the upper middle class, the bottom middle class, all classes of people? What are they trying to accomplish? This is what I'm trying to figure out. You're bringing in ISAT, okay, that's a redemptive move. Then you're bringing in ISAT people with him, Vibes Cartel. What are we going after? The dancehall vote? Or are we going after the overall vote? I'm trying to figure out which direction they taking Jamaica and taking the diaspora. Mikey, I would say that the leader, the PNP, has the same questions about finances that will haunt him if and when everybody turn the big guns on him to ask all the questions. The hiding of his assets, the people who owns his house, how did he work out that tax arrangement? Has he been a tax dodger? All of these questions gonna come to him to haunt him. So I'm not here, Ishmael, to play Mr. Nice Guy with either party. I'm just saying the questions are there. And we've been holding back all this time and not asking relative questions of the opposition. Why? Because we're so concerned with the garbage that the Prime Minister and his cabinet been putting out and spreading all over Jamaica. And the fact that we really need to tie them down and get rid of him, right? So we're not going to split opinions at this point, but I'm hoping that if and when he does win, that he will bring integrity, transparency, and accountability in a full fashion to the table, and not just a pretend or give us smoke and mirrors, only to find out that there's a fire behind all that smoke that he can't control, namely party members. So let's see what's happening. All right.
Oh, quite a mouthful. Herb, quite a mouthful. Before I start
Ishmael,
rebutting,
yeah,
before I start rebutting, I'd love
yeah.
to ask the
The-
panel, did anybody actually watch the annual general conference last week? Did any of you watch the conference?
yes, I did.
All right, so Serenita watched the conference. Who else watched? Patrick, did you watch the conference? Patrick gone. Okay. Auntie Maxine, did you watch the conference? Sir John, same question for you. Sir Herb, same question for you. Did you watch the conference?
I watched the conference in parts, Ishmael.
Oh, you watched it in parts, so you didn't
In
watch it.
parts, yeah. I didn't just sit there the whole time and look.
Okay. All right.
You know,
I,
So
I never watched a conference.
okay, so it's mainly passing by.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Sir John, did you answer?
I never watched a conference.
All right. Thank you. So Auntie Maxine didn't watch. John, did you answer? I don't remember John answering.
Yeah, John answered.
For coming.
John, you muted.
No, he's
Yeah, I
not.
realize. I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't
we
watch.
couldn't hear
I
him.
did
I
not.
couldn't hear him.
Okay.
I did not
Okay.
watch.
Wonderful. I ask because most of these questions would have actually been answered if you guys have actually watched the conference. Questions such as, what is the position of the young people in relation to the party, and how will they play their part in governance as it relates to gaining state power? There was, in fact, a presentation by our youth, our president, Senator Gabriela Morrison. There was issues in relation to the Integrity Commission and any
Yeah,
current members of parliament or senators in relation to that. There also was a presentation for Norman Manley Mikey. Maybe you missed that we will be doing something extravagant for his 100th birthday. Maybe I go bathroom when that part
Michael.
Michael.
Not Norman.
Sure.
Michael.
Also, Patrick asked something. Patrick mentioned something I can't seem to remember. Oh God. Could you remind me, Patrick?
Yeah, I expected you to speak more on the content of the
Wonderful.
party
Yes, the content.
around the issue of what their agenda looks like, what makes
Yes,
them ready,
yes,
what
thank
makes
you.
them feel like they're ready, and all of those issues, right? And it responds to the people's concern that you raised.
Right. All right. So some of the people's concern would be, the education issue. Some of the people's concern would be in relation to social issues such as the GDP, our what are our policies as it relates to growth, what are our policies as it relates to, as I said, youth education, and how will the policies look, what will the policies look like going forward. And ironically, everybody, even the party president that spoke, gave elements. The party president actually presented a precursor to the manifesto. It's so unfortunate that you guys missed that, because those questions that you have now would have been answered. But let me reiterate, it's not a problem. Let me reiterate some of them. We have a teacher retention issue. Some of the policies put forward for the teacher retention issue is to have a MOU, a memorandum of understanding between the National Housing Trust and the JTA, so that teachers can have somewhere to live, as well as having other programs in relation to foreign countries and domestic, in relation to how we will retain our teachers. Some of those programs are having the teachers, being guaranteed housing. Not just the teachers, I mean civil servants, our police, our correctional officers and stuff like that. Others are such as in relation to crime, is the re-emergence of the youth and social policy clubs. Sorry, the youth and social policy clubs through the Ministry of National Security. You would be aware of Citizen Security and Justice Program some time ago. I know you know about Unite for Change. Some of these programs will be returned on stream so that we can curb the sense of early crime as it relates to our young people. Our president made some points about that. Damian Crawford, our spokesperson on education, spoke about getting the schools ready, and he also spoke about getting our math level as it relates to percentages farther than where it is now, and how he will get that done. So I urge you, everyone, have a look at it. You don't have to watch all of it, but have a look at it. Also, Herb, you made mention of the pendulum, or for lack of a better term, the arrow being pointed at the current prime minister because of his issues, and the arrow will switch now if it is that Mark Golding, assumes the office of the prime minister, and the People's National Party getting into power. And you made mention of if it will be black dog for monkey or black monkey for mongoose. I don't remember the saying, but and what I'll say about that is, I understand where you're coming from, but it's important to note that institutions are set up so that we can keep our political representative true, right? And but for the Integrity Commission, and I'm happy that we're using this as a precursor, but for the Integrity Commission, we would not know that these are some of the issues that the country is facing, such as one man have 28 bank accounts. Herb, I know you have that concern, but the Integrity Commission did in fact clear the party leader, and I'm sure you know of that. If it is that you still have concerns, I think you have all right to ask the Integrity Commission to do further investigations on our party leader, if you so please, right? Because that is what they are for, but for, again, them making their statutory declarations in an attempt to get it certified, we would not know that we have 8 people, right? And last year we found out about the Speaker of the House. No, we're finding out about our Prime Minister. So your point in that regard, I think if you still have concerns, Herb, raise it with the Integrity Commission. You can't raise it with the government and say about corruption, because that would be a conflict of interest, or the opposition. Raise it with the statutory bodies, man. Because as far as I'm concerned, all 14 of our of our members of parliament and all 8 of our senators are in fact clear. So I
No,
also
no, I
on
agree.
one more point. It is important to note that all members of the opposition, all members of the opposition signed the political code of conduct. I want you to name one of the governing party in respect to the personnel of this administration that signed it. I want you to tell me if it is that we're going to talk about political corruption. I want you to answer that question because I mean we have to be true to ourselves first, and it's important for us to keep the representatives true. It's very important, but we also need to give their roses where it is due. As
But
far as we are concerned,
Ismail, you and I know that the government refused to
yeah,
sign.
but then you ask a question, so I'm going to
Gentlemen,
give you the answer.
if I can just say this real quickly, I think we're moving off topic because I think Ishmael was supposed to be responding to the party conference and the PNP and what's happening. That to me is another issue for another discussion, a separate discussion. And
That's true.
Okay.
I think that's the point Ishmael
That's
Okay,
is
true,
so let
Pat.
us.
basically making.
All right, so let us stay on topic, Sir Patrick, because you made mention about the content, and I said to you that some of the policies were in relation to education. I don't want to say crime because crime is a whole different, element, and I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough to speak about that part in relation to policy for the People's National Party. Even though I have been in some of the policy discussions, I don't think it is within my remit to speak about that part. But what I can tell you is that in relation to policies as it relates to young people, because I am young, there are policies as it relates to education, retention for not just young people, because yeah, we have the brain drain, but retention as it relates to key professions in our society. That of the doctors, that of the civil servants, all civil servants, that of having a livable wage versus a minimum wage sort of thing. So these are some of the contents, Patrick, that were spoken of. Again, I reiterate, I love anytime you have the time, panel, give a listening ear. You don't have to watch all of it in its entirety. You just can maybe, use the medium of the internet and
What about
write and ask about whatever it is that you need, and you'll see that policy positions were in fact placed on the table, especially from our party leader.
what about what you said earlier in terms of issues that the people raise? What were these issues that the people raised?
But I
Concerns
just said
that
it. I
people have.
just said it. Most of the issues that were raised are in relation to civil servants not being compensated properly. That was addressed. Issues as it relates to our schooling system, as it relates to education, that was addressed. Issues relating to young people, that was addressed. If you're talking about
Low
content,
voter turnout.
Patrick,
How is the
go and watch.
PNP? How is the PNP gonna really rally the people to be out there?
All
Right. So
right. So so
we don't see another low percentage of voter turnout and that kind of
So,
stuff.
so that is not a one size fit all. But what I'll say about the People's National Party addressing low voter turnout, there's only two ways you can actually do that: through education and through the rally of the people. So what I can tell you is most people, whenever this election is being will be called, will not be voting based on policies. I'm being honest. They won't be voting based on what they think will work for them. They will be voting against what they have seen not work for them. Some of those things are the corruption, the blatant corruption, and the disregard of their of their
That's
the personal
absolutely true.
pride.
That's
Yes,
absolutely
so they
true.
will be voting against that. And if it is that we are speaking about a group of people voting against something, I think that will see an upturn in the voter turnout. The last one was in February, which was about 28%, hovering between 28 and 30%. Don't quote me on the exact amount, but I can tell you it will go further than that, because I'm telling you the diaspora will be involved in this particular political process. Maybe not Patrick McCarthy, the great, but others will be, I'm sure.
Um,
You agree with me, Sir Patrick? You agree with me?
I'm not sure I understand what you say when you just said.
I'm saying people from the diaspora will leave their house in America, come down here and cast a ballot, cast their and immerse their finger in the ink. Maybe,
Oh, okay. I get
maybe
what you
not
say.
you, but I'm sure others will.
So
Oh, I
you're
understand what you say.
you're waiving the residency requirement. Is that what you're saying? The PNP is
No,
going to
I'm
waive
not.
that.
No, I'm not. But you have members of the diaspora that have residency here. I can't waive it. I'm just a nobody. Oh, Patrick, how you do to me? You were Patrick Herb.
I thought you were going to get a big position in the PNP so that we
Me?
all can be
No, man.
happy.
I'm
Huh?
just Mikey. I want it. Yeah,
Can I
man.
just
Oh,
make can I make
as
an
it relates
additional
to
point?
as it relates to the comment about Vibes Cartel being at the conference, two things. Vibes Cartel wasn't the only celebrity to be at our conference on the 86th anniversary, and before he wasn't. So also I don't see why it is an issue, because he didn't even speak. He was just at the conference. So I'm not sure why it's an issue. What I find very hypocritical is that there is this narrative that we are harboring criminals, not remembering that this man is not a convict anymore. The law cleared the man. So
Based on a technicality, you should.
no,
That's
no,
a
no, no,
that's a
Herb.
preamble.
No, no, Herb.
But
Let us
again,
not do that.
that's not something for us to debate.
No, let's not do that. Herb, the Privy Council and the Court of Appeal cleared him. That is why we have the judiciary. If you feel you were wrong, if you feel you are wronged, you take it to the courts. Let them vindicate it. So I cannot understand why everybody's up in arms about Vibes Cartel when we have one man that is supposed to be leading our country with 700,000 US in one account. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense. And
You
I
are
must
right.
add,
You are
this
right,
one man
Ishmael.
is
Tell
being
them
referred
that.
to the FID, an arm of the JCF.
Can
But
I?
you already said it. This is not a party issue. So why are we even talking about this in this
No,
context?
because it
there
was
was a question
mentioned,
about
Patrick. It was
there,
mentioned.
Yeah, but you cleared that
Jim,
up. You cleared that up earlier.
moderator, can I make a point, moderator? Hello?
Well, Mikey is.
Michael, you're mute.
Mikey, you're mute. You're mute. You're mute. You're
Yeah,
mute. You're
him
mute.
lock me and him lock me off.
No, man,
No,
I
we
hear
can't hear
you,
you,
John.
John. We
No,
can't
You're
hear
you're
you, John.
him.
Go ahead
here.
and say what you're
We hear
saying.
you.
You
We
mute.
can't hear
You're
you, John.
mute. Let me tell him. Let me tell him that he's mute.
You muted Mikey. He's
Yeah,
frozen.
he mute me off earlier. Me turn on
I'm
myself.
okay.
But we
Okay.
can't
All
hear
right.
you, John. We can't hear you.
All right. Yeah, but
No,
he couldn't hear me because he mute me off earlier. I
hello.
just want to make a qualification.
All
I
right.
agree with Ishmael that is hypocritical to be accusing Vibes Cartel of being a criminal when the leader of the country is up for questionable accounts and conduct and the handling of money, which he has not been able to pass the due diligence test in Jamaica. I agree. we must be careful with that. So I did not, it don't bother me if Vibes Cartel come on stage. It don't bother me if the PNP come in and say, we're going to legalize herbs. That don't bother me. What bother me is the position of working people under a PNP government. They do not have a golden record of accountability when it comes to money either. Not the prime minister, but many ministers of the PNP government. One of the reasons why they lost power the last time was because there were questionable conduct with the handling of taxpayers' money, just as there is very questionable conduct of the handling of taxpayers' money now with the prime minister. However, I want to correct something I said. I don't want to make it sound like the PNP and the JLP are exactly the same. I believe there will be an improvement. There will be a lessening. There will be some change in respect to the condition of working people in Jamaica under a PNP government. The question really is, will it be a qualitative difference? Will there be a existence where ordinary people will no longer have police brutality, will no longer be subject to what we were talking about last week, where the women, despite performing, are still behind the stick, the rod in the power system of Jamaica. Will working people be able to unionize and enjoy both in the country and in the town freedom of association to belong to organizations that represent their interests? These are some of the things which I believe would indicate a substantive change in the PNP. I'm just giving some examples. And what I propose, Ishmael, at your insistence, is to listen to the more of the conference. I didn't listen to any. I read the reports, which is secondhand. So I'll listen to them and hear what is being said. But I do express that concern. But I think like every time before, the people have to walk the road in order to learn the experience. So we're not going to say that the PNP is XYZ until the people walk the road and say, Ross, them is not any different, or they are not much different from the one that went before. When the memory is fresh, then we will be able to see a qualitative, the possibility of seeing significant change will reaffirm itself. So I just wanted to make that point.
If I may, I hear enough feedback. I don't know where it come from. I hear enough feedback.
Can
So
we,
if I may,
Maxine?
in answering John in
No,
relation to if
Ishmael, can you just
yes, yes, you want me to mute?
It was asking you to let Maxine.
Sure.
somebody has a
Go ahead.
TV on?
I don't hear it.
Maxine,
Yes. Yeah, I was just the
yeah, Maxine,
tone.
you had a question for Ishmael.
Yes, the tone of Ishmael's responses in relation to watching the conference. I was more of the thought pattern that Ishmael was going to be reporting on the conference in a, straightforward way because he did attend for us to appreciate. Because I know that we even had this program last week while the conference was even happening, if I'm not um, remembering. So I was more looking together from you, Ishmael, getting there, the salient points rather than your recommendation of going to watch it is fine, but the tone that I understood or I felt was that we were going to have a general discussion and there was someone here who actually was at the conference that could bring forward, understand, certain
That's exactly my thought to Maxim.
understanding, but it was a bit combative as you were responding, and it was reflected in the commentary as if we were attacking you, and that certainly wasn't the thought pattern that I had in terms of even asking questions.
Fully agree.
It was more, wow, we're going to have a fresh person that was on the ground in the conference that could, plug any holes that we had or, enter into gaps that naturally will occur. You understand what I'm saying? It's a party conference. I just watched and experienced the Democratic and the Republican conferences, even in terms of cartel. The idea of a conference is which major star in the popular culture will come out and support after the conference. I mean, in terms of the Democrats, it was everybody was looking for Taylor Swift. You understand? Because they know the power that she currently has, in popular culture. I would say for Vibes Cartel, everyone, he is the man on the button right now for the various circumstances of his incarceration and his release. But outside of that, he was a popular artist. He's one of the most popular artists in Jamaica. And so I'm just giving context to the use of both political parties of the dancehall genre in their campaigns. So it is already known, not even, I mean, I think from the 70s, the popular music industry has been integrated into the campaigns. So the fact that Cartel and our Buju, I think, was also there. Buju is an outspoken personality as well in terms of and his power for whatever reason, which we have to study our society as to why um, these persons having been imprisoned, you understand, when they come out, they are certainly our base. You understand, appreciates them on another level. I was recalling myself in the early our music form, we had a music form called Buro. And Buro was a drumming, a kind of musical expression that was used to rehabilitate persons that were coming out of prison, where the community actually, having served their sentence, the community actually creates a pathway for you to reintegrate
Welcome.
into and a welcome home. So so cartels emergence of the party, obviously people will go for political points, and because he is the man of the moment, we're expecting his, he's obliterated even many artists in the music industry, meaning shadowing them, that until his concert and whatever happens, everybody is in a, he is the man of the moment, and so it is a winning hand for the PNP
PNP.
that he's willing to step out on this platform. He could have come out and not step out, you know what I mean? And just been an artist and collect his money. But other than that, Ishmael, I understand that policy positions have been put forward that are beneficial from the PNP. My concern would be where's the money going to come from? Because Jamaica, as America, as the world, is structurally, in trouble, in debt. You understand? And because of that, we don't have the resources to really do what's best for our people. On the young people side, 80% of our brightest minds migrate, right? It is one of the, I saw this article the other day called The Fertility Crisis, where they were saying there's such a drop in the population, right? In terms of to the amount of people that are migrating and the amount of people are dying and the amount of people being born that our projection from the PIOJ is projecting a loss in terms of labor, and it was significant. You can't go and tell the people to have more sex and have more children. um, you'd have to be thinking, how are we going to retain um, our people, even though, but this is a structural problem. This is not like a policy. I think it's policy, but it's deep. I don't think either party, I don't know what to say. All I know that this is, when I asked you about the young people and their issue of working when they come out of, school, etc. That's what I was asking you, not combatively, but were
All right.
those major issues in terms of um
Okay, okay. I
labor?
thank you, Maxine, for
I-
that. Um,
Ishmael,
yes, yes,
Ishmael.
yes.
I want to say something, but before I do, I want to ask Mike. Mike, welcome to the conversation. Do you have anything to say in regard to what Ishmael is talking about the People's National Party conference? What's your feedback? What's your take?
Ishmael, I must first salute you for allowing yourself to be on the hot seat.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it.
Messengers have often been injured, but I think the company you're in is not intended to injure you. Well, here's my take on this whole thing. Um, you know, it's not lost on me that all of us here on this broadcast are where we are because we sought better futures for our respective families and ourselves. And I think it's a real honor as Jamaicans to maintain the interest in the homeland that we do. Because, like most, if not all of us, I have seen the talents, the achievements at very high levels of our people outside the homeland. And we could not have achieved what we did outside the homeland if the homeland wasn't so strong in producing quality people from way back when till now. I think the tragedy of the Prime Minister's financial affairs becoming such a large part of our concern is just that, a tragedy. But it also speaks to our legislators. It can't be where different people can arrive at positions of authority and rob the hen house, and despite all the talk, there's no accountability. There has to be accountability. The concept of the Integrity Commission is a good one, but again, I find as a financial professional, I find the competence of the Integrity Commission somewhat dubious because if you are going to assure the people as to the integrity of the governance and specifically the prime minister, I think you have to allow yourself the privilege of having other qualified Jamaicans in the process that can lend credence to what you're doing. And when you issue a 171-page report, it cannot seem as confusing as this one is. I think there's great comfort to be had by
Mike,
the
Mike,
possibility.
Mike, Mike,
Yeah, Mikey,
Mike.
I'm hearing you.
Can you hear me, Mike?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hold up? Can you hold off from going into the report?
No, I won't
We're
go
going
into it.
to
I'm not going
talk
to
about
report.
the
I'm
report
not going to
after
go
this
into report.
segment. Okay, so
Yeah,
just
I'm not going to report. I'm just talking, addressing what Ishmael has said.
okay,
And I
okay.
think it's important that Ishmael was able to share with us what he saw at the party conference. It gives us hope that democracy still lives and that our leaders still respect our collective ears to put something out there that gives us that eternal flame that Jamaica will be on the right path going forward. I think it's important. On the issue of Vibes being involved, I'll just say this. Vibes was exonerated to a limited degree because of the misbehavior of the government. And it doesn't undo what he did. It merely gives him a pass to get justice, which is what each of us would want if we are in any particular judicial scrimmage. I think the party itself has to be careful in being solicitous of the young vote because as you solicit the young vote, you are also telling the young people what kind of behavior you will tolerate. And in embracing Vibes, at the very minimum, you have a conflict of sorts. It's a what I call a dichotomy that Vibes was wronged by the system. It doesn't mean Vibes didn't do anything wrong, but he was wronged by the system. And we all grew up on the premise that two wrongs don't make a right. By the same token, you have to acknowledge and reward those young people who choose to follow the letter of the law and conduct themselves appropriately. So that's my take on Vibes. I think the leader of the opposition owes it to the country to give them the assurance that his paradigms are high enough that we're going to be in good hands. And I commend you, Ishmael, for basically doing the hard work. You attended the conference and you saw things, there are things you're going to like and things you're not going to like. But I commend you because you thought it important to share with us those salient points that you liked and also encourage us to go sit down and view the conference. And that's a good thing. So I think Mikey, we have a lot on the agenda. and I won't say much more. But it's this is not easy stuff we're doing. This is not easy, and to give it justice, we discuss it in a very transparent and honorable way, and we all have opinions, and nothing wrong with that. But this is tough stuff, and as a Jamaican who loves Jamaica, they always say, if you cut me, I bleed black, green, and gold, and that hasn't changed. So thank you for giving me a voice. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Gentlemen,
Okay,
we have spent over 45 minutes on this topic. A- And I want to move to the next segment of this broadcast. But before I do that, I want to remind the listeners some things. One, Bustamante went to prison and came out and became our prime minister. Marcus Garvey went to prison, and currently in the Jamaican parliament, you have a member of parliament who assault his wife and still sits in the parliament. I have nothing against the PNP inviting Vibes Cartel to take part, because I tell you this, Vibes Cartel has a strong connection to at-risk youth, those youth who are prone to giving problems and getting involved in all sort of activity. And Vibes Cartel can play, if he choose, can play an important role in reaching out to that segment of the population. So I have no problem with the PNP inviting him. My problem, or what worry me, is that the PNP had a conference, and Michael Manley celebrates on December 10th of this year 100 years of birth. And one would expect to see more celebration around that. We haven't seen it, but Ishmael assure us that the party is thinking of something big. Okay, so I'll take it. I still keeping my
Sir
finger
Nita,
crossed because
something was done.
I
Something was
think.
done in the early part of the
Go ahead,
program.
Ishmael.
Something was done at the early part of the program, as well as on his birthday. Something will happen, and
Okay,
it
I
was
did not see that.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah, let's get to the meat of the matter now.
okay, I accept that. Yes, let's get to the meat of the matter now.
Nita, before you do
Last
that,
week, the Integrity
Nita,
Commission
Nita, let me just judge
submits
this.
its report. Eh?
You hear me?
What's up?
No. I was gonna give a
Go ahead.
disclaimer
Go ahead.
to
Go
Ishmael.
ahead.
The question surrounding the leader of the opposition was raised on a couple of Reason with Rattigan programs where I participated. And it was raised through Ms. Zara Burton as well. So what I said to you about his failure to support Jamaica with taxes,
Right.
that was the main thing that was raised, and how he got away from paying those taxes. And the Prime Minister is practicing the same thing. So I'm not, as
We,
some
we,
people are saying, pro GLP or anti
yeah,
PNP or
we're going to
whatever
get
they want.
into that. We're going to
Yeah.
get into
All right. Thanks.
we're going to get into that. uh, but the report came out, and basically the end result is the People's National Party is now calling for the Prime Minister to resign because of what was revealed in that report. I want to, Ishmael, you're on the ground in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening on the ground in relation to Integrity Commission report. What's happening there? What's
On the
happening in
ground, you
Jamaica
mean
with
the
regards to the
layman? What the
Integrity Commission report? You want to
uh,
start?
okay. So
You just tell us what's happening. The vibration.
so
Your
so
party,
so
your party called for him to resign.
no man,
Prime
stop with
Minister
that
to
your party
resign.
somebody because this is a Jamaica
Take
problem.
it
This is
from
not
there.
a party problem. This report is a Jamaica problem because he's
Okay.
not the only person that has run in
All
contravention
right, sir.
with the Integrity Commission, and they are doing their job. As it relates to the vibrations on the ground, people are
Before
still.
you go,
Mhm.
Ishmael. Oh, hola, Ishmael. Let me ask. Let me ask this question. How many of you read the report? I'm asking the panelists. How many of you read that Integrity Commission report?
I never get a chance to complete it.
I am still reading the report. Okay, so we can have a discussion about. Okay, continue, Ishmael.
As it relates to underground, the truth is
Ishmael.
people are still, as Patrick said, people are still reading the report, and people are still coming to grips of what the contents are, what does it mean. People are still trying to put their own perception on what does this mean for them. Um, but on the ground, it it's not looking good, to be honest. It's not looking good for the prime minister and his administration, because if it is that an integrity commission report says that about the leader of a country, it cannot be something good for whoever's name was mentioned within that report. So the feeling on the ground is that of sheer shock, to be honest, by the layman. Like, and I said it before, 28 accounts or whatever the case is. Like, what is this? What is really happening? And so people are still trying to come to terms with what's happening as it relates to this report. Oh, I should continue.
Herb, you read the report? Can
Yeah,
can
the,
no, I just want Herb to give us his take on the report.
I read the report. I also listened to a variety of different opinions given about the report. But what reaches out to me, what grabs me as an analyst who's used to seeing raw data, there's no raw data to follow. In other words, we can make up our own minds independent of what Stevenson or Integrity Commission people are saying, right? We cannot look at the facts as such. We can't look at the evidence. We are being fed a set of facts and a set of evidence. And I think even Emily Shields was holding her opinions in reserve because she couldn't see anything either. And if you look at what the others have come up with, being that we have been looking at Mr. Holness for a while, and we know what the Integrity Commission was given, it appears that they don't have the depth. In other words, their investigators are not versed enough, they're not experienced enough, and they don't have the depth as a professional to be able to do these types of investigations. And I'm just saying it like it is. Mike will expound some more on that. But from what I am seeing and what I've had to go by, it's taking me down this narrow tunnel, right? And you know, Mikey, when you're in a tunnel, all you can see is the top, the walls, and the roadway. You can't see nothing else. And so the Integrity Commission is taking us down a tunnel. They've made mistakes, which they have not alluded to. But those mistakes is going to create a situation where Mr. Holness may very well go scot-free. Now, public opinion has been stirred by the report. The public opinion might be initially going against Mr. Holness, but let's face it, this 9-day wonder we have in Jamaica, when the opinions come out initially, it's at play here. So let's see how they're going to hold Jamaica and its people's opinion against Mr. Holness Ishmael after 9 days, right?
I don't agree with some of your sentiments, Herb, because I think that as per the Integrity Commission's Act, they did what they could do, and they took it as far as they could take it in relation to making the report. And I must say, because this is also important, you spoke about raw data. There is a part, I don't remember the page, I think it's 14 or 114 or something like that, where
I can
um, the DI specifically said that they couldn't go further with their findings because the Prime Minister refused to give them information. It said that explicitly. So it asked for additional information, and the Prime Minister refused to give them whatever information that they wanted. So I
can,
do
can,
agree with
can
you
you stick
saying
up in can you stick up in right there? Now, what we said to the Integrity Commission a few years back.
who is the we?
Well, let me just what I said,
Okay.
right, and alluded to is that you can't ask individual when we do an investigation here in the U.S. We deep dive the individuals, and when we come to you with the investigation to ask questions, we already know the answers to those questions. We're not
Yeah.
What?
looking for answers from you.
Um.
So
Um.
they're doing investigation backward. They come into Mr. Holness, asking him questions, and then they're acting on the basis of his answers and whatever he supplies them. He keep feeding them nickel and dimes here and there, and it don't add up to much.
Yeah.
That's the
So
point I'm making.
so so
Well,
so
if I can say this,
your analogy in relation to using the United States, I think is unfair, because the truth is Jamaica is a developing state. We cannot be within the next 10 years even remotely close to what you guys have in the United States. You are a first world country there. We have to use what we have in relation to the resources that is available to
Don't
us
talk
here.
foolishness.
let's
Don't
No,
talk
man, it's true, man,
foolishness.
John. And
let's
I notice
dispel
it's something
let's
that always
Ishmael,
happens.
Ishmael, let's
Don't
dispel
apologize at all because
let's
corruption is rife in the United States.
exactly let's dispel with
Corruption
this whole
is rife.
notion
All of
about
the
first world
American
and third world.
House
That's
of
total crap.
Representatives are being
Just a
paid
minute, just a
for
let one
by the
person.
Jewish lobby.
Yeah, we're going off course, John.
We're not going
Mikey,
off course. We're
Mikey, you
talking
can
about
let
corruption.
Mike lay out this stuff. All right.
Don't make no
I
apology.
think we don't need to apologize. They just can't get deep enough. And they brought an American in. I believe they're paying something like that. I think the report
No,
said
man, yet
30 million.
they did bring in a forensic auditor from the United States, a
Yeah,
consultant.
and paid 30 million for what? Well, they paid 30 million. Can this guy deep dive
No,
anybody?
but you can't say that, Herb, because he can only
Gentlemen,
work with whatever he was presented to work with.
That's my point. It's limited. It's a tunnel. We're all in the
It
same
will be
tunnel.
limited because of the resources that the Integrity Commission have. This is the only reason why they referred the matter to the FID, because them can take it so more. It's now a criminal matter, you know. People are seem to forgetting
So,
that.
so if I, okay, let me ask you this. When they said that part of their conclusion, Stevenson said part of his conclusion was based on the instructions that Mr. Holness gave to the NCB investment people, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do they know that was not a contingency email? That Holness was giving them several instructions. How do they know Holness wasn't speaking to Lee Chin on the side and giving alternate
All right.
instructions?
So
I mean,
so
how do they know any of this? You see where I'm coming from?
yeah, I do.
You've got
So
to be able to do a full court investigation, looking at all the assets around
so
Holness.
so my interpretation of that though, guys, my interpretation of that is the, whenever they find the anomalies, they ask him. So my interpretation is as follows: if it is that, let's say, his, because the truth is his legal earnings is $9 million per year because he didn't take the increase. Follow me now. So because his legal income is $9 million, if it is that you have other income, it should be explicit for the Integrity Commission, and they did say it in the report. It is not. It is wonky. It's choppy. So you see $1 million here and you don't know where it come from. You see 20 million here, you don't know where it come from. You see companies here set up, you don't know. You see 28 bank accounts and money is just going to and fro, to and fro. Where are the Integrity Commission is asking him, what is this? Where did this money come from? And he keeps giving half answers here, half answers there. So I think they did in fact act properly, because I want you to be clear. They said it is apparent that there may be a case of illicit enrichment because his income cannot be calculated versus what he now
Source
owns.
of income. Yeah,
Right,
source of income can be
right. So I am
determined
saying,
based on his
so
assets.
I'm saying they should ask him, where do you get the money from, regardless of what they say. So it is now incumbent on the FID to go and find where him get the money from, because you can't ask you ask me, and me I go tell you say it come from your side, come from your side, come from this. So my job is to give you a form for you to fill out, because I know the Integrity Commission form. Every civil servant that earns over $2.5 million in Jamaica must fill it out. So the form is given to him, and his accountants should fill them out. I'm saying to you now that when they were going through the forms, they found these anomalies. And when they are doing their investigation, it cannot be certified because of these anomalies. And they kept giving the IC the runaround. So the IC said, because of my act cannot prosecute. And that is very important. Remember, the Integrity Commission can only refer the matter to be prosecuted. They cannot prosecute themselves. So what did they do? Them say, fine, since as though you don't want to give me the information, and I cannot explicitly say, you know what, this is fine, tick upon that, tick upon that. Because this is no different from me working a minimum wage work in a maybe one wholesale or KFC or whatever, and 6 months later is a Bima me a drive come and work. It's no different. So what I'm saying to you now, panel and viewers, is that the Integrity Commission found out that there are some massive anomalies within the Prime Minister's declarations. So instead of me saying that, you know what, this man, something wrong with him, I do the honorable thing. Take it out of my hands because within the law, I cannot prosecute. So who can prosecute? The Financial Investigation Division. So Irwa, I don't know, what else to do. So Irwa, the FID, you take it up now. You see if there is a case here because I did my part. That's what's happening, That is what is happening. If it is that we can discuss the content of what the IC said, then that's a different case. Because I put it to you that I hear the Prime Minister giving out lawsuits here and there because people have said whatever. I put it to you that it is my opinion that before 2023 he knew about being investigated by the Integrity Commission. I also put it to you that because he knew that he was being investigated for possible illicit enrichment, he did a series of things. I don't know if you guys remember that
This is where the shifting around of the money come in.
Not even the money, not John. I don't know if you guys remember that bloggers and people within the media get into one whole heap of problem with the government because they wanted to change the ATI, Access to Information Act, from maybe 25 or 10 years to 75 years. I don't know if you remember that, where if we wanted information from the government or from a particular member of parliament, we have to wait 75 years before we could access that. You don't remember that issue?
Yes.
Yeah, I clearly remember that.
Okay. So I'm saying to you, I put it to you
Dead already.
that because he
We're following the
knew
US, John.
that this was an issue in putting that mechanism. So maybe 75 years from now, it would have dead long time. You can't prosecute one dead man.
You were dead. The people the people who calling on the investigation. 75 years you done dead already.
75, no man, but 75 plus 50, how much?
They know that.
He would have dead too.
He would have dead too. Yeah.
So and then that would have gone. Then that would have gone. That's what I'm saying.
Your point is well made.
Let me ask this question. Let me ask this question. Given what the report is revealing, can you say this is the beginning of the end for Andrew Holness as Prime Minister of Jamaica, leader of the Jamaica Labour Party? Is this the beginning of the end for him?
So Mikey, let Mike lay it out. I think since everybody did not read the report,
the question is,
let Mike answer.
But Mike, let Mike answer. Mike, go ahead.
Everything else is noise.
You know what I think, though?
The accountant.
I think that the Jamaican
CPA. Let's Mike answer that one. Do you think this is the beginning of the end for Andrew Holness?
I think because the Jamaican people are all right. I'll yield to Auntie Maxine.
Yes, I was just looking at when he was coming into power, and there was questions about his finances.
$48,000.
Well, I'm just looking at both him and his wife, Juliet Holness, and their business operations and our links. And, there's always questions. I'm just saying, I'm listening, and I'm saying there were questions coming in as to their collective wealth and a big house that they were building somewhere on Long Mountain and, Ray. And so now, after X amount of years in political power, um, with that type of beginning, you know what I mean? It's not something that is surprising. It's more, okay, what is the law in relation to being able to filter, you know, because once you're in power, apparently with all of these report, you know, uh points in the report of bank accounts, how much was put in, 4 million here every day. You understand? It was good, clearly um knowing what the system is and, you know, subverting it. And as I saw in the his report, that the IC, something must be done to the IC so that they don't have this power. It was more about reducing the power. And I was trying to think if in the constitution reform process, if there isn't, you know, because that was the whole thing, that this constitution now is amongst these people to set up their system to allow them to govern. And it seems to be a system that protects them from the people. You know, that they have a kind of a cushion, you know, a force field.
Nail on the head, Maxine. Nail on the head.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Exactly,
yeah.
Maxine.
So I'm thinking, I'm saying to myself, this is very interesting. It's like the people need a lawyer to investigate what's going on here. You understand? Because the constitutional reform system and whatever this thing is going on and what it is showing up, that the political class has a, I don't know if it because I think, what is the business class saying? We hear what the people are saying, but because the business class is part of these deals that are being made around the Jamaica corporation that he is the head of. You understand? I understand us being, you know, upset, but I haven't really seen any kind of upset from the business class in relation to what's going on. They're very quiet.
There is
That's
this
People's
my
whole
thing. I'm just,
Manifesto.
If I
Maxine,
can say something here.
you won't see it, Maxine. What you've seen is what we talked about before. You can't have the prime minister and the rest of the executive sitting up in parliament and influencing the entire legislature, because that is the root of corruption right there,
But
right?
The point you're missing,
Let
the
me
point
finish,
you're
Pat.
missing is
Let me
this.
finish, Pat. The prime minister and his cabinet is representing members of the PSOJ. They're the ones who fund them and put them there. So you have a collusion of opinion and of action from the very beginning, before they even get into parliament, is what you were saying. You can't go from little bit of money, how much, 48,000, to 171 million without collusion. And that's what we have. And this is why you're asking people of the Integrity Commission with limited abilities and that they lack the ability to deep dive, to talk to people who are experts at what they're doing. These are magicians when it comes to moving money around. Prime Minister say what? Him take out all these loans to build his house and to buy property.
Yeah,
But
but please, please, please.
what?
Because a lot of what is being said is just repeating ourselves, right? And not getting to the point, right? Ishmael outlined it clearly earlier on in terms of what responsibility the Integrity Commission had. Forget about the comparison with the US, right? And this whole notion about first world and third world and all of that crap, right? The fact of the matter is, here we're dealing with lawmakers because that's who they are. They're the lawmakers, right? In part, are responsible for the setting up of the Integrity Commission and all of that, right? And all of this is done in a deceptive way. As Ishmael pointed out earlier on too, it's one of the reasons why this thing has been so long and dragged out, right? Why we keep hearing about this thing and we can't get to the meat of it as to what is really contained in this report, because that's all it is, a report, right? And it is an inadequate report because that is the findings. The findings are inadequate, right? But the bottom line is, right, that is what really highlights the corruption that was taking place, the depth of the corruption. And it will be difficult to get to it because we're talking about lawmakers themselves being corrupt, right? We don't have the laws to deal with it. We don't have the legal structure to really get to the bottom of it. And that's
I would urge you let Mike lay out the rest of the stuff, because we all here and we all saying the same things. All right, let Mike just finish laying it out. That's what I thought we were
Okay,
gonna do.
Mike.
Yes, sir.
Mike, go ahead, Mike.
Gentlemen, the discussion is not far afield. Ishmael touched on something that's critical to understanding why the process has gone the way it has gone. They made the IC a toothless tiger. Okay? But the IC could have done better. Whereas FID has the power to indict and the like, and Ishmael also referred to, I think, or it might be Maxine referred to, the role of the chief legal officer in Jamaica. That would be the DPP. And we know the DPP is even less of a toothless tiger.
DPP.
Yeah.
Quickly,
Because
if I may, who is the current DPP? Who is the current DPP?
What's her name? She didn't get thrown out yet. She's still in office.
Okay, I'm showing you how smart the man is.
Oh, yeah, it's not
Continue.
smart, it's just dangerous. But the problem is not those people, you know. The problem, as Patrick pointed out, is the legislature. If they intended for the laws to have any bite, they would have put teeth in them. If they intended for the DPP to have any power, they would have so empowered that office. In fact, I am not too old to not remember when that office seemed to have more power than it does now. They have the power to indict. And therein lies what I call the framework of a failed system. Now, what are we dealing with here? Without getting into too much detail, let me see if I can set it up in a nice and easy way. We have a prime minister that is clearly compromised and is unethical, does not begin to describe his failings. You could even use the word criminal without fear of contradiction. Okay? And he has acquired assets that are not commensurate with the income he made when he first started showing up more on the radar, so to speak. I think it's back in 2005 or thereabout, where he acquired $697,000 US dollars of assets as education minister. but the man only made $60,000. That should have been a clarion call right there to pull him up. Okay? Now, Ishmael also touched on another sensitive issue. The IC only could ask him.
Say that again. Say that again. Say that again.
No, I was saying that John Ishmael touched on another issue. He said IC's only power is to ask, not like the power the FID has. If they want the IC to have any power, they should have given the power to at least subpoena and criminalize the lack of response to the subpoena.
I swear on the oath. I swear on the oath, right?
Yeah. So what happened was they kept getting financial statements from Holness. And the financial statements are not worth the paper they're written on. Why? If you're going to investigate this man for criminal behavior, you have to start where it was clearly amiss. 60,000 salary, almost 70,000 in assets, acquired in a very short period of time. Notwithstanding, loans that were taken to build the mansion in Beverly Hills and loans that were paid off at a disproportionately high rate without any increase in his income. So clearly the fraudulent pattern had started way back then. He had a company, ADMAT, domiciled in St. Lucia, and the St. Lucia government mashed up the Dolly House and said, you can't be here with company and have no economic impact for the people of St. Lucia, so take your company and go. He liquidated assets in ADMAT when ADMAT was not in good standing with the government of St. Lucia. So therefore, again, he was allowed to violate the law without any accountability. Even if he moved the assets from ADMAT to Imperium, this 171-page report from the IC only creates confusion. And I'll tell you why I say that. They did not, first of all, they did not start with ascertaining the source of his income or funds to acquire assets that were 11 and a half times his annual salary. Failure one. Failure two, you need a separate set of financial statements for ADMAT. They don't have that. You need a separate set of financial statements for Imperium. They don't have that. Combine that with the 28 accounts that he had, frequently alleging that his mother opened the account and he's just there for estate plan purposes. Ditto, same thing for the father. And then there's a woman named Elizabeth Reed who worked in his constituency. For some reason, he encouraged her to do something, but he ended up as being a signer on her account. And then the smoking gun in many ways, the large transfers of funds from those respective accounts, mother, father, constituency worker, to his personal account.
If I may.
Hold on.
All right.
Let him finish.
So what I'm saying is the behavior is commensurate with questionable conduct that leans somewhat perhaps criminal. Then you hire a forensic accountant, but you don't issue the report from the forensic accountant. But you said the forensic accountant sees nothing wrong. How can the forensic accountant not see anything wrong when the numbers in the report don't add up? I'll give you some specific examples. In one of the tables, table 7, it shows combined assets, liabilities, and income of Mr. Holness. In table 6, it shows assets, liabilities, and income held by Mr. Holness. In table 6, in 2019, 2020, it said Mr. Holness had a net worth, personal net worth of 150 million. But in table 7, it said his personal net worth was 68 million. So by process of osmosis or whatever, all the $7 million disappeared. In table in the same table 6 in 2019, Mr. Holness had started the year with $22 million of liabilities, ended the year with $50 million of liabilities. So he paid down $7 million of liabilities. From where? So these tables being issued by the Integrity Commission lead to far more questions than answers. And then in 2020, after having paid down $7 million of his debt in 2019, his total assets went up by 20 million Jamaican dollars without any explanation there too. And then in 21, it went up by another 66 million. Ironically, I think I know how it went up $66 million. He had a US account with $500,000 in there, liquidated most of it, and that would explain how he got to 66 million. But nothing explains how he paid out $7 million of debt in 2019. So take that in context and then you're telling me that you had a forensic accountant who told you that they didn't see anything wrong. Does that make sense? Because we know a forensic guy in my business, you're looking at a tremendous amount of minutia and following the trail to see where it leads. So just looking at these reports, they've led to more questions than answers. And then the consolidated report of his net worth in 21 was even more ridiculous. Why? It said, table 7 said his personal net worth was 16 million and company net worth was 175 million. But table 6 says personal net worth was 197 million. So if I can stipulate that Mr. Holness is a financial dunce, why didn't the IC insist that his accountants, who I assume are licensed in Jamaica, issue an appropriate set of personal financials, ADMAT financials, and Imperium financials?
Because they can't. It's not within. It's not within the act for them to do so.
But if you're going to give the IC this high-profile job to uncover the irregularities, then you got to have them working in
right. So and that's part of the reason why I don't understand why a lot of people are coming out against the Integrity Commission when they in fact work within what the act says. Most of what we want them to do, they are not empowered to do.
However,
Mike already said that.
But Ishmael, the thing that you
so we can't go after them. That's what I'm saying.
Hold on. You can't criticize them, and I'll tell you why. You're going to issue a 171-page report, and you have limited powers. It is better to not issue a report. It is better to issue a report of not like this, but issue findings that say we were unable to do this, and here's a forensic report, here's what we have found out, and we can go no further. Now, ultimately, they may have done so, but this report does not help because the numbers don't add up.
Yeah, but you
Now,
explain that, Mike. Why it wouldn't work?
there's a footnote in here that says the DI asserted to the FID that because they don't know where ADMAT ends, Imperium begins, and Andrew Holness is, they're unable to go further. But this report is not helpful.
But
It
here's the
begs-
other thing, Mike. Here's the other thing that you never mentioned. There's just two simple points, right? That you can sum it up with. One is a classic case of money laundering.
Oh,
Right?
clearly be money laundering because money coming in, nobody tell where the money comes from.
Exactly. Because what happens is that with all of these transactions and all of
Guys,
this
be
money
careful
that
of
is involved,
lawsuits, you know. Be careful of lawsuits.
no.
Well,
You
I'm
can
never
handle
afraid
all
of
of that in Jamaica, Israel.
I'm never afraid of lawsuit. Even in Jamaica, I'm never afraid of lawsuit. Because I don't speak something unless I understand what I'm talking about. But here's the thing.
But I hope you're pay.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Right?
But while you
all of
talk,
these
Patrick, I hope you're
transactions-
reading the banner downstairs.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing about it. Right? With all of these transactions, right? And this money that is involved, right? Where is there the time that he gets to do government business? Because that's clearly where his income is coming from.
Oh,
Not from government.
But Patrick, the government can't pay him like this.
No,
That's why you're doing this business.
exactly.
The government
Exactly.
can't pay him like this.
That's why country I run up and down and do whatever I want to do.
There you go. Listen, I have one. You're right in the point you're making, but the overarching point, and incorporates what Ishmael said to me. I did not expect to find everything revelatory in this thing. Not many revelations.
No.
But I expect, as a financial guy, I can see between the lines. What bothers me above everything else is that I think the opposition, without making inflammatory remarks, should be louder. The drumbeat should be louder on this issue. You understand me? There are points in this report, and that's where democracy goes to work. There are points in this report where the opposition should be saying, how could this happen? And speak specifically to things from the IC. They're not making it up on the fly. Take the IC report and stand before the camera and say, listen, just as I just did, table 6 said this, table 7 said this.
If I may, Mike, so this happened Tuesday.
Right.
Last week was just smokes and mirrors in relation to the government trying to control the media. Tuesday is supposed to be Parliament and it was put off. Surprise, surprise. What I can tell you though is that the opposition will have a town hall meeting to detail and to go through the findings of the integrity report line by line at 2 p.m. on Tuesday.
That will be an excellent move because
right. So that's one. Number two, I will again come out in defense of the Integrity Commission. Let me tell you why. If you follow the line of the sequence of events that happened as it relates to the IC, it was orchestrated. Let me give you an example. 2 years ago, a certain minister, I won't call him name because I don't have no money like Kuno if he come on a lawsuit. Me broke.
Mike, you recover you, don't worry.
So 2 or so years
Just
ago, there was a particular minister.
Attention to the guidelines.
Yeah. Yes, Mike.
Disclaimers won't help you, Mikey.
Make
No,
sure you pay attention to that.
no, that not gonna help me. That not gonna help me when they come for look what me do have. Yo, so the there was a certain minister within Parliament that on more than one occasions put forward a a green paper or a white paper motion to review the Integrity Commission. That certain minister is no longer a minister, is just a regular MP. No. But if you remember, that was when the onslaught started, right? Then, a few months after that, there was something that nobody could ever envision happening to the Integrity Commission. What is that? A gag order was placed on them and anybody that is being investigated. So now that amendment to the Act of the Integrity Commission means that the Integrity Commission cannot speak freely on the things that they are doing. How did that happen? That
That's when they
happened
pull the
because
that's when they pull the last tooth out of the tiger.
all
Yeah.
right. So how do
Yes.
you? That's what I'm saying. So if it is that the Integrity Commission is a creature of Parliament, and the creators of the creatures of Parliament decided, you know what? Me not like how the creature they are moving on. Me new time. You pull out the man teeth. You
Yeah.
can't cause the lion from no bite you because the lion's supposed to bite you, but the owner of the lion or the maker of this mechanical lion decided to neuter him. That's what
Can I?
happened. So let me tell you what the Integrity Commission did in a last gasp effort to show that it is working. They decided that since as how me can thump or fist or kick nobody, what me I go do? Me I go just throw everything, the last strength me have at the person responsible for making the laws within the Parliament. Boom! When you look, one whole heap of dirt come on somebody's face. Who is that face? Surprise, surprise. The leader of the country. That's what happened. So I agree with them tabling this report. What I'm also happy of is that they detailed how the events happened and what he did about it. So it don't matter when one say no. As a person in this country, you made me believe, the Prime Minister made me believe that this was a joke thing. All them a do a chat off them mouth for me, I'm gonna do them nothing. I thought, as a person of this country, that the Integrity Commission wanted to silence or to lie on the Prime Minister. That's what I thought. So it don't matter what you want to say. Me believe you because you was my Prime Minister and you make the law. So the IC just never like you. Now, all of a sudden, the IC come and tell me, say, this is happening. Me say, I could have even $2 sell me something for me now buy it from you, brother. I don't business.
What do we think should happen
Listen,
now?
So the
listen.
Well, the
They,
thing
question
is,
still remaining, gentlemen, Maxine. The question still remain: is this the beginning of the end for Andrew Holness?
I
I
think
don't think so.
I think it's the beginning of the
That's a
end.
question.
I think it's the beginning
Is
of
this
the
the beginning?
end. I'm
Up to-
hearing
It's up to the people.
I'm here where they're investigating a mayor in New York here and his top executives that he put in and various contracts that they signed with companies that they left. And the brother is in the company, this is in the company, that is in the company. And I understand politics across the board, across the world, to be somewhat, when you get in power, you are able, like you're going in knowing unless you're like a Fidel Castro or somebody like that, as overthrowing a government. But these changes of governments are really, you're trying to get somebody a little bit more decent, but the principle of the governance in relation to especially a government like this that gets so much money in aid, so much money in coming from the EU, from the World Bank, from this is not money coming from profits of a business that is running um, profitably. You're getting aid to prop up this, prop up that, because we are some type of a place. You understand? And those type of monies have been deduced to be able to siphon off into these, it shouldn't just between the business sector and the political elite sector. So the Jamaican people are, in this constitutional change or whatever it is that we're looking at, should look at, this is the infrastructure that we've been given since 62, and it does not allow for the trickle down, because what should be happening apparently is that this tap dance goes on, but enough should trickle down to the people to pull them up. So I don't know. It just reeks to me like, well, so much business. They were building road. There's so much money that has come into Jamaica for hotels, for this, an enormous amount of money. I don't know compared to other administrations, but most of these people are business people. That's the other question I was going to ask. When you're in opposition and when you're in the government, when you're in opposition, a lot of these people that are there are business people. So what is it that they do when they get to be an MP? They close down their business, they open up, they shut, like when you're in opposition, are you allowed to do business? And then when you're in government, you can't do the business, but somebody
No,
else do
no,
the.
no, yeah, no, yeah, I think you have a misunderstanding there, Maxine. What happens is years ago, back in the early days of um, independent government, there were all kinds of rules and policies in place, which obviously don't exist anymore. And probably not, if some of them even still exist, they're not enforceable, right? There was a time, even if you're a police officer, you couldn't be a police officer and have another job. You could only be a police officer. So when it came to like a member of parliament and so on, right? If you're gonna be a member of parliament, then it means that that's what you are being paid for. You can't be running a business at the same time. Here in the US, they have a thing where they say you have to put your business in trust, right? And then you focus on the job you have as a representative or as a congressman or whatever, right? In Jamaica, obviously, it's a case where you can do that and still do whatever it is. You can be a police and you can still be a big time promoter out there, right? You can still have a security company operating and all of that and still be you know, So it's like you're doing a double dipping, right? You're getting paid twice for the same work time because all of this, it is understood that if you're working, there's only one work time. So you can do two jobs in a one work time, right? That's one. The other thing is it gotta reflect in your income taxes, right? All of these things are in place for a reason. Where there's absence of these things, then it means that there's something hand-handed going on, right? And the classic case where them use for it now, the new term is money laundering, right? Because it's money you're making which you have no explanation for. right? So something illicit is going on.
In the real world,
Patrick, the other thing you look
world,
at.
these people, that's what I'm saying. If I see someone, oh, this person is going to be an MP or run for thing, he's a businessman, he's a doctor, he's a lawyer, he's a professional, right? And when he's in power, like you said, I don't understand in Jamaica. I'm trying to be clear because if you have a business and in politics in general, because this is what I said I see in New York going on now with the federal investigation of these people. And it is a matter that, oh, I'm in business, I'm going to leave the business and I'm going to put Tom Strokes in the business. And then the business is going to get a contract because as government, as the MP or whatever it is, I get to oversee all these billions and billions of dollars coming into Jamaica to do these contracts. So therefore, I can give XYZ a contract and not this a contract and that a contract. So I guess, you have to just do your job clean. But I'm trying to get to the essence of it. That are you running a bit? Are you able to put your business in trust in a way? And how are you able to keep away this flood of money that you are now in charge of distributing into the system of Jamaica? And you yourself used to be in that business, or you have a construction company, or you have a
Yeah,
whatever.
but that's what I just said, Maxine. The thing about it is, when you're talking about money, particularly in that kind of volume, it's not no one person. It can't be just one person,
No, but
right?
is it enough for you to
So so
siphon off
even so
X?
even when you're talking about the issuance of contracts and the kickback and all of that, right? It is not that simple, right? Because there are certain checks and balances that are supposed to be in place. And if those are not there, then this is where it has only one label: corruption, right? And the nice word I put for it is money laundering,
Folks,
The
folks,
right?
one of the word.
folks.
So, all right. So basically, we're waiting on the
Okay, folks,
FID.
folks. It's
And
now
then,
Before we're
It's it is
waiting on the
just
FID,
just
Mikey, before we're waiting on the FID, we are this Mikey now, the accountant
yeah.
Mikey.
I
I would
know.
like to suggest, Mr. Mikey, right? You hearing me?
I hear you.
We are preparing a document because whether we wait 10 years, 20 years, next government, this problem of corruption and lack of transparency is a reality in the context of Jamaica.
Yes, it
I
is.
am asking you, as an accountant, lift up yourself from out of your accounting headspace and put down on a piece of paper what measures would you suggest? We're preparing a document called a People's Manifesto. And one of the items in it is against corruption and for transparency.
Okay.
What three things do you think, without talking about the Prime Minister, the FIU, the FDA, the IC, we need a mechanism that we can put in place that address this problem regardless of who is in power in what situation.
The,
3
fir-
points.
the first thing you have to have,
No, no,
John.
no. You want me to write it down? I am asking you because we are
Okay.
out of time.
All right. I'll send I'll send an email to Mikey. But I got one question for Ishmael. Ishmael, does the FID have the power to freeze Mr. Holness's assets?
I put out what the FID power is in the private chat if y'all want to take a look.
I am not sure if
I
That would
can
be
see
a
that. You
powerful
can
tool,
see
you
that,
know.
Herb. If
They
you can send
don't.
it to me, that's good.
Yeah,
That would
they
be a
don't.
powerful tool.
They once
But
it gets to the DPP, right? But they do have a director of corruption prosecution who has powers like that. But
right,
listen, folks, everything that I said at the start of the program, where I said the investigation was inadequate, the investigators are inadequate, y'all just come through now and you're supporting the very things I was saying because you're seeing the facts.
yeah,
Facts are
but
no
nobody
longer
was
in question.
disputing that, Herb. Nobody was
Huh?
disputing that. Nobody was
Let,
disputing
let,
it.
let me finish. Let me finish, guys. The fact is, the FID, like the IC, has limited powers, right? They can coordinate, they can collaborate, they can do all the things that the IC does, and they may have an investigative team that goes a long way. But listen, what I want to demonstrate here to people, especially people in the chat, the importance of intelligence driven investigation and getting your information from the intelligence people, first and foremost, identifying the networks involved around the prime minister, getting all the intel on those people before you even start to investigate.
But we do
This is
have that
important.
mechanism. They do have that
Uh,
mechanism.
say what?
They do have that mechanism.
They do. It's
Herb,
called the NIB.
just
The NIB
hey,
is there,
folks,
and if
folks, folks,
and,
folks,
and if they
folks,
want
folks,
to collaborate with
folks,
the
folks,
Yeah,
folks,
NIB,
we can,
folks, folks.
so
Mikey, we can't get involved in the mechanism detail, you know. Are the truth. It's
Hello,
not Mossad. We are not
hello.
Mossad.
Can't do that.
why
No.
not?
But what we can't get in,
We are
just a
not
minute,
Mossad,
gentlemen.
her.
It is now quarter
John,
past
John, that's
six,
beside the point.
and
I'm
we're
talking about
scheduled
how
up
they
for
run the
6 o'clock.
investigation.
So,
They run the
Mikey, continue.
yeah,
investigation
and
like
I'm
a
talking about the time that we have. We have, gentlemen, I don't think we're going to exhaust this topic because personally, I think the information in that report, I personally think that this is the beginning of the end of Andrew Holness as Prime Minister of Jamaica. I think the report clearly indicates that this is someone who the Jamaican people going to continue to ask questions. Okay,
More than
this is
that.
not going to
More
stop.
than that.
It's going to continue.
More than that.
Mike, John, Mike, John Artney is asking you to prepare that document. If you could prepare it, look at the report.
It's not a document. It's not a, don't use the
What you think are the strengths?
word the document. We
All
need
right, John.
3
You get the
points.
idea. I have the idea.
No,
I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, Mike, have the idea.
I got it.
okay. So, gentlemen and ladies, I'm a sister in Maxine. I want to thank you all. I know we didn't cover all areas of this topic, but I want to thank you because I see the listeners. We have right now over 500 devices, which is good. And I want to tell the people like and share this site. Like it up the thing, and Ishmael, I need you to start pushing that like thing, Ishmael. So until next week, I want
Oh,
to thank
before
you
you go,
all
Ishmael,
and said, stay
Ishmael, we really
warm,
want the full report
You
on
say
that town
we
hall.
stay
having a
warm. The
we
weather
having
here
a
in
business
America on
meeting.
the East Coast is getting
Jesus
cold.
Christ.
Yeah, but I just want
So
Ishmael to be on the alert that we want a
I
full
didn't get
report
that,
on that
John.
town hall.
We say we're going to have a business meeting to discuss a matter from last week.
Well, no, I, I, yes,
You're
that's what I'm
breaking up.
getting to know, John. Okay.
You're breaking up
So
though. Something wrong with the system.
again, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just thank you very much. And we're going to go sign off, but I'll ask you to remain because there's a discussion we want to have with you about some developments. Okay. So I want to thank the listeners and put something into the chat. Okay. And remember to like and share this site. One love until next Sunday.
Okay.
John, you can go now,
Is the show
Go.
over now?
It says you're still live.
Yeah, but we